All right, welcome everyone to today's Ninja Skill Booster, fighting procrastination like a ninja. What a topic this is. This is a topic that comes up so often in amongst all of our productivity training around, okay, I get all that, I get all the theory, I get all the ideas and I've got the tools, but what about this bit in my head? What about this procrastination bit? So thank you for joining us today. I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands that we are all joining from today. I'm joining from Darkinjung country, just north of Sydney. And I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this country, their elders past, present, emerging, and future. So thank you again for joining. I will get stuck into it now. A little bit of introduction about our business, Think Productive. We're a global training organization with a vision of creating a work revolution where everyone loves Mondays. Now that's a big claim, but your vision should be big. When I first was involved in the development of this vision, I found it a little bit far-fetched, but it's something we're working towards. It's something inspiring. That's what I like about this. Our business, Think Productive, was founded by Graham Alcott, who wrote the book, How to Be a Productivity Ninja. And this book changed my life. I bought this book about 7 years ago now at an airport bookshop when I was feeling overwhelmed and stressed, and jumped on about a 10-hour flight to Hong Kong from Sydney. And it changed my world. I changed the way I work, it changed the way I thought about work. Graham's originally from the UK, so he didn't have a business here in Australia and New Zealand, so I bought the license to Think Productive in Australia and New Zealand. So that's how it all started. That's how I became a productivity ninja. I left my corporate life of marketing and international business and started Think Productive Australia. So everything we do at Think Productive Australia is to help our clients reduce their stress, enjoy their work, enjoy their life. So that's what this is all about, and that's what my passion is here. So please get in touch with me if you'd like to. Take a note of my email address. Get in touch anytime. And now we're going to get stuck into today's content. Procrastination, what is it? Why do we do it? How to fight it like a ninja. This is the important bit. Like, what are some really good tactics? What are some really good methods, tools that we can use? Because we know we're doing it. We're all doing it. So what are some ways to get through this? So let's have a look at it. What is procrastination? We know what it is, but let's have a look. So many people searching on Google, 1.5 million searches a month on procrastination of different forms. Like this is a form of procrastination, I guess, in itself. But what is procrastination? Here are some definitions to think about what it is, what impact it has on us. It's a delay in conjunction with subjective discomfort. So the delay is causing us some discomfort. Or we can look at it as the illogical delay of behavior. Why are we putting this thing off when it's important? Why are we putting this thing off when we know it's something we should be doing? It's going to make a difference to us. We can also just call it self-harm. It really is a form of self-harm. It's causing more stress, causing more inconvenience in our life. Now, when we also think about procrastination, a study done by Darius Farrow in the Netherlands found that 88% of people admitted that they procrastinated. And these were 2,000 people roughly who were chosen in a sense that they were people who read articles on productivity and habits, people who were conscientious about this, and 88% of them still admitted to procrastinating for at least an hour a day. So that's an interesting one. I've got another stat here, which is 80% of salaried workers procrastinated between 1 and 4 hours a day. So yeah, and of students, there were some students studied, only 8.7% stated they do not procrastinate. So it's a big topic. So why do we procrastinate? This is a really interesting thing to think about. Why do we procrastinate? We've got this part of our brain called the lizard brain, or our amygdala. This part of our brain is responsible for keeping us safe. It's our reptilian brain. It prevents us sticking our neck out. It prevents us standing out too much. It wants to keep us small, keep us safe. So particularly when we're stressed and this lizard brain starts taking over our brain, we have what's called an amygdala hijack. I'll just put amygdala in the chat for you here. Amygdala hijack, and our amygdala takes over our brain. We go into this reptilian freeze mode and we really struggle to get things done. Our executive functioning in our brain starts to disappear. And this is what's happening when we're under stress. So we stay small. So that starts the procrastination cycle. And here are some really good ways to think about what's causing our procrastination. So this comes from another book that Graham wrote called How to Be a Study Ninja, specifically targeted at university and high school students, TAFE students, like anyone sort of studying from their late teenage years onwards. Why do we procrastinate? This dust model. Some things are difficult, right? And if they're difficult, we're inclined to put them off because we are facing this fear of, I don't know how to do this thing. I'm worried about this thing. So if things are difficult, we just need to get some help. That's okay. Some things are undefined. Now, if something's undefined, it seems like it's going to be a challenge. We don't know what to do. So an example for me might be do my tax return. So if I have tax return written on my to-do list, I'm probably not going to do it because it seems too hard. But it's not really that hard. I just need to think through what are the steps. So if I get that tax return and I define it to the first few steps, call the accountant, make an appointment, save all my bank statements into a folder on my computer that I can share to the accountant, like simple little steps, then I can get some progress made here. Some things are scary. Now, when things are scary, we're worried about finishing them because what's going to happen when we finish them? The dreaded F word, feedback, right? Someone's going to tell us that that thing has a mistake in it, or they don't like it, or could have been done differently. Of course, it could have been done differently, but we're fearful of this thing. So there's a book, I've got a really good book here called Linchpin by Seth Godin. And in Linchpin, Seth talks about this idea of shipping. He uses the phrase ship it. I'll put this in the chat as well. Ship it. So Seth says, when we're fearful of things, when we're worried, when we're facing this procrastination due to fear, just ship it, just keep things moving, don't worry. And I really like this approach. He talks about painters or artists and how they have often, particularly amateur painters or artists, they have a lot of artwork that they say is unfinished. A lot of artwork that they say, oh no, you can't look at those, they're not finished. So they are finished, they just haven't got to that point of shipping it, hanging that thing on the wall and saying it's finished. That kind of resonates with me, even though I'm not a painter, but that happens in business. It happens in our work. We worry about shipping things because of this feedback. And some things are tedious. We procrastinate because some things are just tedious. And, you know, this is part of our work. This is part of our study if we're studying. And I've got some techniques coming up to help us make progress with these tedious things. So here are some reasons we procrastinate and how to sort of get through those barriers a little bit. So now have a look at how to fight it. What can we do? How do we fight this procrastination? So I've got a question for you first. I'd love you to put some responses in the chat for me. How do you combat procrastination? Let's get some ideas from the group. How do you combat procrastination? Just put it in the chat for me there. I've probably got you thinking already with some prompts, and I'm also guessing maybe the reason why you've joined this webinar today, and thanks again for joining, is maybe you're not so resourced in this space, but we've all got our techniques. Pomodoro Technique, yeah, thanks Bianca, I'll be talking about that shortly. Breaking down our tasks, yes, thank you, good idea. Yes. Setting a timer, same as the Pomodoro Technique. Just make sure you're putting your comments there to everyone rather than just to me. Give myself a short break to re-energize. Yeah, thanks, Eric. Short breaks make a huge difference. Short break can reset our brain and get us going. So let's have a look at what we can do about it. Here are some productivity sort of techniques to help keep us focused. We need a second brain. Some of you have done our training before, I know, and we talk about having a second brain. This is essentially our to-do list. This is our master actions list. This is where we're storing everything so that we haven't got too much going on in our brain. Have a system where this sits. So this could be a spreadsheet, a notebook, a whiteboard, an app of some sort, whatever it is, we need to be clearing all the noise out of our head and storing it in our second brain. And when we're thinking about this way of storing our data or our tasks or our things to do, it's good to think about having a projects list and a master actions list. So the projects list is like a summary of everything we're working on. And what this helps with is making sure that every day or every week, we're making a little bit of progress on each of these projects. We don't want these projects to go stale. So just having a summary list of projects, and then a master actions list is a list of all the things we need to do for all of these projects. And once again, this can be done physically or digitally. And the key thing here is reviewing these lists regularly. And I'll be talking about the review process shortly, but the important thing is have this second brain, have a couple of different levels of data in here so our brain can focus at different levels within the work that we're doing. Being aware that during our day, we have different levels of attention. So from proactive, which is our really good focused attention, we only get a couple of hours a day of that. Active attention, that middle zone of being able to get stuff done, but not being totally focused, and inactive, maybe half an hour to an hour in the afternoon when we're a bit tired and craving sugar potentially, and that's a good time for the break that Eric mentioned there, or going for a little walk. So knowing that we have this flow of energy throughout the day, and if we are procrastinating on something, using the proactive time, the best time, our time of the day when we're at our best, using that time to get things done. And the good way to think about this is eating frogs. Now, some of you have heard me talk about this before. Eating frogs. So in that proactive attention time, I'll just go back to those 3 types of attention for you. In that proactive attention time, what's one thing you can do that's like a big thing you're procrastinating about? What's your frog? It's a good thing to think about. The frog is the thing you've been putting off, the thing you're avoiding, but you know you need to do. Now, this originally came from Mark Twain, and he said, the best time to eat a frog, get that thing done that you're procrastinating. The best time to eat that frog is first thing before it grows, before it gets bigger. And I heard one of our ninjas in the UK, Ninja Grace, say, if you eat a frog first thing in the morning, everything else that day will taste sweet. And I love that concept, because if we get that thing done, that we're feeling a bit guilty about, we're feeling a bit drained about, if we get that thing done, we feel really good and we get some more progress throughout the day. Now, Bianca mentioned the Pomodoro Technique. This is a great technique to give us some focus. Setting a timer, normally for around 25 minutes. Set that timer. I just use the countdown timer on the phone. Decide what we're going to do, set the timer and focus. This works incredibly well for me because I'm quite fidgety and I want to go to the bathroom, get a glass of water, get a cup of tea. But if I've got that timer set, it's like, oh no, just keep working. And this helps us stay in the zone. Helps us stay in the zone and get that task done. So you can Google the Pomodoro Technique and read more about that if you like. But some other techniques to help us stay focused, particularly when we're doing this Pomodoro style focus, or sometimes we call this the power hour or the power half hour, where we shut everything out and get focused. Turn your phone off, put your Outlook on work offline mode. Now, this is a really good tip for Outlook. Under the send receive menu, the work offline button. This puts our Outlook in offline. We can still be working through our emails if that's what we're choosing to do. Maybe that's our frog, catching up on our emails. But if your Outlook's offline, you won't be seeing all those new emails coming in. That makes a big difference. And also turn off your Outlook notifications, of course. Using a timer like something like Forest. So the phone needs to be on, but it can be on flight mode, so you're not getting distractions. But Forest is just like the counter you might use or the timer you might use for the Pomodoro Technique, but it's just a cute little app. It plants little trees when you achieve your goals. It's one of these ways of gamifying the process, which can be motivating. If you set the timer and then you use your phone, the trees start dying. So it's quite cute. It's got that kind of incentive in there. And you can also do this in groups to encourage each other. One of the really good things with the frog hunting idea or the frog eating idea is doing some frog hunting with your colleagues, with your friends, and sharing what's your frog for the day or what's your frog for the next hour, and go hunting that together. So everyone can hunt their individual frogs. This is a lovely way of just supporting each other through procrastination. So the other part of helping us stay on track, helping us be aware of our procrastination, helping us get over the hurdle of procrastination is having some checklists, having some reviews, having a bit of a process around this. So those of you that have done our productivity training would have come across the daily checklist. I'll be sharing this with you in a follow-up email from today, where you can download a PDF of this. But this is a really good way to get your day started. Boss thinking. So planning, prioritizing, thinking like a boss, setting yourself up for success for the day, choosing your top 5 priorities. This keeps us focused. And when we then find ourselves procrastinating, which is quite natural for all the reasons I've explained, we can come back to those 5 priorities and think, right, that's what I need to get done today. That's the focus. So having these processes to keep us on track is really important. And also the process of a weekly review. We've got some recordings on our YouTube channel of weekly review Ninja Skill Boosters, if you've missed those. The weekly review is something we talk about in our workshops. It's a once a week process of step by step going through the 5 stages of the weekly review to have a moment to pause, reflect, and catch up. So this is a really good tool as well. Sometimes shifting our motivation from intrinsic to extrinsic can help, which is simply getting other people to hold you accountable, sharing with other people what those 5 priorities are. That can make a big difference as well. Giving yourself a sense of, I shouldn't say guilt, but a sense of commitment, a sense of compassion, but also a sense of guilt if you don't get these things done. So relying on each other, getting this sense of external support or accountability. Being aware of the bigger picture of why we're doing what we're doing, knowing our why. This can help. Sometimes we feel a bit stuck in the weeds, climbing this rock, but if we really think like, why are we doing what we're doing? What's my purpose in life? What's my purpose in work? Big topics here, right? But what's my purpose? This can really help us realize, hey, I'm nearly there. I'm climbing this mountain. Look how far I've come over the last 5, 10, 20, 30 years. I'm nearly there. So this might help us just get those final frogs off our plate. And getting near the end now of today's session, these are pretty short, these Ninja Skill Boosters, because we just want to plant the seeds of inspiration. So once again, thanks again for joining today, everyone. But the thing to think about is we can't do everything. We might be procrastinating because we've literally got too much on our plate. We're in overwhelm. And who at the moment, in the midst of COVID and lockdowns and re-entry back into the workforce and re-entry back into society, who at the moment isn't feeling overwhelmed? Languishing is the word I keep hearing at the moment. Who isn't feeling a bit flat? So just, it's really good to check in with ourselves, the ninja characteristic of human, not superhero, and realize that you can't do everything. So this is where the prioritization becomes really important. Just knowing that we can't do everything, push some things to the side, decide to let go of a few things, and really focus on what matters. And if we're doing all that, we might start feeling on top of things again. We might start feeling like a superhero, but just know that we're not superheroes, we're humans. We need to keep looking after ourselves. The ninja characteristic of human, not superhero, really is drink water, eat well, get some movement, get some social activity, just the right balance of everything. And if you're doing all of these activities in your work with the prioritization, the top 5, the Pomodoro Technique, understanding the procrastination, you start to look like a superhero in the areas that matter. That's what's really important here, in the areas that matter. Remembering we just can't do everything. That's really the bottom line here. And as we lead into a busy time of the year with Christmas coming up, things get a bit overwhelming. So take care and look after yourselves in the process. As most of you know, we do a whole range of different workshops at Think Productive. We do one-on-one coaching. We've got a program called 6 Weeks to Ninja that'll be kicking off again in February. We're just finishing one off now. So yeah, lots going on. Get in touch with us if you need anything. Graham's got the podcast Beyond Busy if you want a bit more listening material and listen to Graham's lovely voice. And get in touch with me if you have any questions or anything anytime, and you're very welcome to ask questions now as well. In the chat, feel free to put any comments or questions in the chat, but I really hope today's session is it's short, it's punchy, just to give you that thought on what can I do about my procrastination. So before you leave, maybe just write down 1 or 2 things that you can do. Think about the dust model. Think about eating frogs. Think about that daily checklist. As I mentioned, I'll be sending you this recording and a link to the daily checklist as well. But if there's any questions, let me know. Feel free to put something in the chat. But thank you once again for joining today. I really appreciate your time, and I hope this helps you worry less, achieve more, and love what you do, because that's what it's all about at Think Productive. Thanks for joining. I'm here if any of you need to stay and ask any questions. I'll stop the recording.